Hi and welcome to Creating on PC. Today we're going to create some letters for vinyl. I don't quite have the right font, so I really want to show you how to open, find free fonts, install them into the Cricut, and how you can sometimes go in and modify those kind of fonts in Inkscape. So let's start out with getting into the Cricut and start with looking at what fonts you have. So what basically happens is that you'll log into your Cricut. So you can use your icon, or you can go to design.cricut or cricut.com and log in. I'm already logged in. You'll have to register and log into your account to get into it. What we'll do is we'll start with a new project. So we're going to click the plus sign for the new project, and we'll be into Cricut design space. What we're going to do is we want to see what text we have. So we're going to just kind of come in, and this is the wording that I want. Oops, I need to put that in the second word in all capital. So a friend of mine asked me to cut out some letters for a cup, so I was just going to do leftist tears. When you go in, you choose your fonts. You can re-choose your fonts. All the ones that are showing a price next to them, you have to purchase or you already own. You wouldn't see the actual price on it, but what you can do is go to the filter and filter to my fonts, and these are the fonts you personally have loaded on your computer. So you can go through and pick whichever font you want and assign the font. Sometimes I have to open these in Word because they don't do a really good job of showing exactly how the font's going to look. So sometimes I may have to open these in Word to get a good idea of how the font is going to look. But I really don't like the fonts that I have. I really don't like how they're looking. So I want to go search for a new one. So basically what's going to happen is I'm going to go here and I'm going to say I want a free block font. Now I go to images, and let's see here. Let's see if I get better. Oh, no, there it is. So this is the font that I really like. So I'm going to go over here and find the Freshman. Scroll down by William Boyd. By the way, this is on fontspace.com. Been an excellent website. And so now you're going to look for the download button. Just be careful of all the start nows and everything else. What you're looking for specifically for the download button for this font. And now it's dropping it in. So once the font drops, what you do is you open the font, and so basically it's going to be a zip file that's going to allow you to come in here and double click on the font, and it shows you the font before you're going to try to install it. But at this point, you just click install. What that does, that puts the font in for your computer to use anywhere. So you can use it in Word, you can use it in the Cricut. I'll be able to use it in Inkscape when I open Inkscape. So the font's loaded, and the way I can tell that the font's loaded is this kind of grays out. So now I should be able to go back to here, click on my words again. Sometimes the program will require you to log back out, but now we can go down to the F's. Oops, go back up. Nope, don't see it. So what's going to happen is we're going to back out of this. and say we're going to leave this page. Yes, we're going to leave this page. We'll come back here and relog back into it. I really wasn't worried about my lettering because I know what I was typing. Now, what's going to happen now is I'll go in, do the same thing again, choose filter and my fonts. And you can search for the font if you know what you're looking for. If you click in the box. And there's my freshman. So now I could take those, and if that's all I want to do, I could go in and actually put it in and actually cut it. So now I'm ready to cut and hit continue, and it would take it to my cutter. But I'm not happy with the way that I want to do something kind of cool, and I want to see if I can change some of these letters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my my Inkscape, because I want to create and I want to edit these so I can go in and actually have the letters the way I want them. So I can go in and do some fun stuff with them. So I want basically to put them on a circle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same thing I did before. I'm going to put in a font, choose my font maker, and I'm going to put in, sorry, I want them all cap. T, and then I'm going to do tiers, all cap also. So what I'm going to do now is, here, let me zoom in so y'all can see. Oops. Zoom in so you can see what I'm doing here. So I'm not crazy about this font. So I'm going to select all. I'm going to come in and I'm going to choose my new font. And as you can see, if I leave it highlighted as I'm moving down the list, it changes the font so you can really get a good idea. I already know what I'm doing, so I'm just going to go down and find my freshman, which I think is going to be a really good font. And I'm also going to change this one. Once you change a font once, Inkscape does something really fun. It puts it at the top, so I don't have to go figuring out which fonts I've been messing with on this particular project. So what I want to do now is I really want this on an arc. So I'm going to create a line. So I'm going to use my Bezier tool and come over here, and I'm going to create a line. So I'm going to click the left-hand mouse once. I'm going to straighten out a line that's pretty much a little longer than my word, and then I'm going to double-click the other side. I get a straight line. So what I want to do now is I say, okay, I want to put this on a curve. So I want it to go up, and I want it to be kind of like that right there. So now I can take these two pieces and put them on top of each other and highlight them both. And we can go to text and add put on path. What that does is it puts it on the curve. So now I've got a space and I'm like, ugh, I need it more centered. So what I can do is I can come over to my pointer, double click on the wording, and I can add spaces. And I can put it on the curve the way I want it. So now I want to do the bottom half and be able to put this on a curve. So I'm going to do it a little longer than my piece. Left-hand click, left-hand click, and then get my line reasonably straight. Then double click, and then come back to my edit path nodes tool. Kind of grab somewhere in the middle, hold down with my left hand click, push up, and actually I want this to bend the other way. I want it to bend downward. So now I can highlight both of these, go back to my text, put on path. Now I got it bend on the other end. Not centered again. So I go back to my pointer, double click on the letters. Well, I didn't double click on the letters. But double click on the letters and you have your little, I'm like, ugh, I'm not crazy about that. They're too close together. So I could do one of two things. I could either I could come back here and hit my nodes and actually click on the node here, and I actually could bend this. So if I grab it with my, if I left hand click it, I can do whatever I want to with it. I can put it on a curve. I can sit there and grab the center, or grab one of these bars and give it like an S kind of bend. I can do a whole bunch of things. Really what I want to do is I really want to fix this spacing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually come back and highlight and get my spacing here. See how when I clicked on here, it brings up the parts about how to control the font. Well, this AA here is, and when you highlight over it, says spacing between letters. It actually tells you what it actually does. So I want more spacing, so I just keep improving the spacing. I'm like, oh, about to shoot off the end. So I'll take my cursor back to where I put those spaces in and take my spaces back out. And then increase the spacing again until I get it. Oh, that's about where I want it. So now I have a font that's in the way that I want it, and I can bring these two pieces together and say, this is really the way I want my font to look. And it's harder to do inside of the Cricut, but this allows me to control the font. Now the problem with Inkscape and the problem with fonts in here is you can't take this font straight over. So you have to edit the font to allow it to go in. And what you're going to do is I'm going to cease to be a font as far as something I can type in and change and do all that. I'm going to change it to a shape. So each letter now is just going to be a shape as far as the computer's concerned. And the way I do that is I'm going to hit path and say object to path. And what that does is it just makes it a shape. And for safety, I just like to go stroke to path also. It's not required, but I tend, when dealing with Cricut, it tends to do better and not have as many problems. The other nice thing is that now that I've done that, I can delete these lines. Before, if you delete the line, it may alter the shape of this. The nice thing is that problem with fonts is they tend to stay together. So now what I can do, if I want to, they move as a group, but I can hit the edit and actually it's object, ungroup, and now they're individual letters. Now I could go in and say, hey, this is pretty close, but I really just want to move it out and down, and this one I need to move over and down a little bit, and you can sit there and you can actually click on it again and you can actually rotate these letters however you want to. So what's going to happen is that I'm going to save this as leftist tears letters, and I'm going to save it where I can find it later. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back to here and I'm going to say upload, and I'm going to go find my image. I can browse and go to my folder. Leftist tier letter. And see, it shows me the fonts that I created. and then I save them to my design space, and then I can come in my design space, click it, hit insert images. Now you're seeing it loaded in as my letters. Even when I get here, there's some couple cool things you can do. You can actually make it the size you want, get a feel for it, and you go, gosh, that just looks awful. Well, I can come in and actually still ungroup these and actually individually move these around. So I can change the size, I can rotate them, I can do whatever, I can grab them and move them and get them in the right position. Or when you go to make it, it just jumbles the letters. And you just put it together yourself. So if you're cutting out paper, typically you're going to cut out paper anyway, and they'll just be cut out in that orientation. So you can do a lot of playing with it. You could sit there and you could do a lot of different kind of things. The fun thing is if you know you're cutting these out in different colors, when you separate them, you can come in and say, okay, this is going to be part of the red sections. So you can tell it that these are going to be the colors that I'm going to cut out in. And when it goes to create your cut list, you can actually tell it the different colors, and it will automatically separate them out into their separate cut lists of who gets cut separately. So you don't have to sit there and remember, okay, I got to put this color in, I got to put that color in. If you go ahead and in your design put the colors in, you'll control how you can actually do the cuts. So I hope this was helpful. But this was just how to put some letters in and how to do some editing and do some stuff in the Inkscape. So if you have any other questions, please add them in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you again. So this is Creating on PC. Goodbye.